This is the Independent Dealer Podcast. Education by dealers for dealers. Now, here are your hosts, Luke Godwin and Jeff Watson.
Hello and welcome to the Independent Dealer Podcast, brought to you by Buckeye Dealership Consulting, I think. I don't know.
Oh man, as much business as we bring them, they're still sponsors. Come on, Jeff. Come on, man.
Luke, happy New Year, buddy. It's the first of 2025. I assume all our sponsors are still lined up for this quarter. They're going to find out when we send them an invoice. But you're still here, I think, for the most part. How's the new year treating you, buddy?
Well, 2024 was difficult, Jeff, to say the least. Difficult personally, difficult in business. I say it's difficult in business. It's our second most profitable year ever. A lot of people out there will be like, really? Yes, it was. And the only year that rivaled it was 2021. And we all know the COVID years, that year especially, was very profitable for most of us. But 2024 was amazing. We bought some accounts. We learned outside the business, which I think is a really awesome business. But then, do we want to jump into this right now, or?
I think we need to hear what you've been up to, man. I don't know what else there is to talk about. I mean, I'm pretty much still in vacation mode. So other than that, man, I don't know what I got going on.
So, my dad and I, we've been partners since 2014. We entered into, I'm going to caution everybody real quick about, this is going to be a lesson that I've learned and a lesson everybody else needs to learn. And we opened and some backstory, we opened our dealership in 1984, October 1st of 1984. So we're entering 85. Why did I say 84? 85. We're entering our 40th year. And I've been working day to day from 96 when I graduated high school. I went to college, and during college, I worked probably 2 to 3 days a week, if not every day. USC is not far from here, 3 miles or so. So I would, in between classes or whatever, I would come to work. And before that, I worked as a kid, like a lot of people do that grow up in the business. And so I've been doing this for 28 years, almost day to day. And in 2014, we had a partnership agreement drawn up. And what it did was it gave me ownership in the business, and I would earn ownership up to 49%. But I was running the business. I had the major share, and I could do anything. That's kind of the way it was. My dad has not been involved in the day-to-day operations of the business for a long time. So, and I designed what we do. Really, it's my handiwork. The day I started full time was September 1st, 2001, and that was
you had 49%. This eventually grew out to 49% ownership, and your dad was the 51, or was there another partner?
No, dad was 51.
Okay. So he had all the voting power, but you had the operational power because you were the one running it.
Yes, and essentially, I had the controlling share. I know that sounds weird when you hear that people have 51%, but I actually had the controlling share.
Okay.
So I can make decisions carte blanche. But the only thing I could make a decision on was whether he was forced to sell to me or not. I could deny sales if he tried to sell off, but I could not force him to sell.
Okay.
An operational agreement ends, and we're recording this for everybody to know, 12/31/2024. Our operational agreement ends today.
At like 5 o'clock Eastern?
11:59 Eastern time. 11:59. And so we're still in that agreement right now. Well, it was figured that I would buy the remaining 51% of the business and close on it. Yeah, I figured, and close on it within 2024. Well, I made an offer to buy the business in October, and the offer was rejected. So
you're too stingy.
I really thought that I made a very competitive offer on our business.
Briefly, how did you evaluate it? Just so other dealers can kind of wrap their brain around similar
Yeah.
situations. Because I was there 4 years ago, 3 years ago, when I made that offer to my partner at the time, my brother-in-law. And so I valued it in a way that for me, I took all of our assets that we jointly owned, our real estate, our portfolio, and then some investment properties and a management company we had. And I said, hey, man, like, here's two pots. I'm going to divide this right down the middle according to me. And you pick which pot you want, and I'll be cool with either. You can either
Yeah.
take the car lot or you can take the real estate. Which one do you want? And he picked. So that to me was like completely unbiased, completely fair, no gun to your head situation, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
What about you? How do you value it when you already know, hey, I'm trying to buy you out of a business? It's not me or you. It's you're out, I'm in. Here's what this thing's worth. Take a check or walk, kind of a deal. How'd you do that?
Yeah. So I evaluated several bought and sold buy here, pay here dealerships. So I feel like I have the knowledge to do that. But in this situation, I need an outside eye to look at this. So we've had the same CPA, HHM, who's very, very wise in the dealership space. He evaluated it and he looked at historical, and we actually have our company valued every year. So he looked at historical data, brought it forward, gave me two options. And I thought that the lesser of the two options made more sense for me because I'm the one that built it. So the offer was made for all the property he and I own together that the dealership sits on, which is a 5 acres.
Which out there is worth like $40. Great place to live.
Yeah. And it was 4 buildings. And anyway, I made the offer. And in the offer, I could not literally give him a check. Okay. So I was going to need to finance. I was going to need him to finance the offer.
You weren't going to go on and take on third-party debt to buy him out.
I was not. And we don't have any debt.
So you wanted to do it out of operations. Say, hey, man, I'm going to give you $50,000 a month for the next 5 years.
Yeah. And
whatever that number is.
And it wasn't that number. And it wasn't over 5 years. I stretched it out a little bit because what I didn't want to happen was to make myself cash poor and not be able to run the business properly. The offer was rejected by him and his wife. And I think I don't think that I would make any different offer than what I made to him. I really don't. It came down to him wanting his money now. And I was giving him a sizable down payment and paying him more than what he's currently getting paid every month. But he wouldn't accept it. And he wouldn't accept really any financing because he just wouldn't. And I won't go into any more detail than why.
Was there a counter offer?
There was not a counter offer.
Oh, really? It was just no, I don't like it. We're gonna just go to the nuclear option and de facto blow this up.
The nuclear option is to blow it up. And that's what we're doing. So everybody out there, we are after today, we are no longer in the buy here, pay here business.
Oh, okay.
And it's been a great run. And at some point, and all buy here, pay here dealers out there, at some point you got to make a decision if you're going to collect it all out. It's really a hard deal to sell your portfolio. I'm still in the business of buying portfolios to a point. But to get what you think your portfolio is worth is impossible. I think if I took our portfolio to market right now and we have a 90% CRR over years and years and years, and you can look at it and tell, I doubt that I would get 78% for this portfolio, maybe 80% max, right? But I would also have caveats to that too, buybacks and things like this.
They'd kick out the bottom part of your portfolio and a bunch they wouldn't take, and anything that's been amended or not seasoned or out of, So you wouldn't get the whole thing sold anyway. So your effective cash out, even though it might look like a 79 or 70% or 80%,
It
in
would
my
fall
mind, much
drastically
less
from
than
there.
that when the
Yeah,
dust settles.
I
So
think.
those are the options. And to rewind this and kind of put a pin in some of these lessons that we're learning here, dealers operating agreement. The fact that you
Yeah.
had an operating agreement the first time when you put that in place, whatever, 10 years ago, that's insane because so many people don't. And I bet that was a battle back then. I know with my brother, my partner, we didn't have an operating agreement in writing. And that caused a lot of issue. Who gets what? Who does what? Who's responsible? What's your comp plan? Like, you've got to spell out every single detail. If you die, am I in business with your spouse? No. Like, who, literally who's taking the trash out? Who's responsible to take the trash out? Like, all those things have to be spelled out. It sounds so petty and so ridiculous, but there's a million
Well,
scenarios that play out. And if you don't have it in writing and agreed to, then it's just
and
Wild West.
I agreed to things I shouldn't have. Um,
Of course, back then you didn't have any leverage.
yeah, and so I did have leverage, and I threatened to quit back then. And that's the leverage I had.
Okay.
And the things I left out should have been left out. And these are the ones you should never leave out. For one, you should readdress your operating agreement every year. It should be addressed at the end of each year. And I learned this from a good friend of mine, Bo Kneff, who bought his dad out of another business here in town. And they readdressed theirs every year until he bought it out. So it's something you need to do, readdress it every year.
Because what changes? What are you looking at? Like the equity changes, the responsibilities change. Like, what are you
responsibilities
jockeying
change.
for?
Responsibilities change. Cash changes. All these things that you need to look at. Should we reevaluate the buyout number? Should we have a buyout number? I did not draw a line in the sand in 2014 that said on this date, 2024, I owe you X amount of dollars for this business. I should have done that up front, or I should have done that at some point during that operating agreement. Because what happened is I took a business in 2014, let's say, that had $2 million of accounts receivables, that today has $10 million of accounts receivables. And I grew that without debt for 10 years.
Yeah. And if you're the primary operator, you're still splitting that nut 50-50 in the end, right? Even though the other partner might be not a completely absentee, right? Now they got you there and they maybe put you into business and there's maybe some value on that, but eventually, what is that growth worth? Is it 50-50 or is it 60-40? Yeah.
And what happened is the number got too big. And that's my fault. And it's something I should have addressed years ago.
Yeah.
But I didn't address it.
We have a good friend that is in that same situation. He has built massive wealth in his portfolio, almost 100% on his back and brains. And he has a partner that's been along for the ride. And it's gotten so big now that he doesn't even know how to address to get this partner out because their dealership has gotten so big.
That's the reason it has to be addressed.
Hey, everybody, real quick, exciting news coming from Luke. You know what excites me right now?
Tax time, baby.
Tax time, man. We are in the first quarter. First quarter of the first quarter. We are in the beginning of the first quarter. So people are going to be getting their W-2s in hand today, tomorrow, all the way through the 30th of January. This is the push time. Get those W-2s, get the tax filed, defer the down payment. It's your money.
And it's not just about down payments, Jeff. You use this money to collect those portfolio. And, that's what we're focusing on. And we're going to use that tax money to get these people paid down.
Yeah. Call the guys at TaxMax. You can still get set up. It's a super quick process. There's really zero training because it's so easy. They can either self-help and file themselves, or you just walk through the screens that TaxMax has, or you call them. They pick up on the first ring, guaranteed. Super easy to get answers. So taxmax.com, use the code podcast 2024 and get 40% off the VIP
40%,
or something.
40% off VIP package.
Yeah. Make sure they know that we sent you and not that other podcast. While we're with you, though, because this is really entertaining podcast for finding out what's going down with Luke, we're also going to talk to you about Blytzpay. We also think they are continuing to sponsor us for 2025. I don't know. I think all these sponsors might jump boat once they find out Luke's out of here. So, but for now, get signed up with Blytzpay to collect your money. It's been great for us. We started this month taking no cash in our office. We are making a concerted effort to go completely cashless from our payments, because I don't want to have cash in the office. I don't want our people to be collecting cash. I don't like the risk, the security. So we're using the Blytzpay cash network for those customers that just only deal in cash.
Yeah, I've been using Blytzpay for a while. My staff's been using it for a while. And actually, I was in there really hard the last couple of days because I've been helping my collectors collect this money. And I'm going to be able to do this virtually, Jeff, because the Blytzpay is so convenient. We're not going to have to be in the office to collect this money. We're just going to send text, and it updates my DMS, and we take the money right there. So I'm super excited about that. It's going to really help me wind down my portfolio.
Well, and I want to point out that that's a really great feature that if, we all talk about losing touch with our customers if they don't come in and pay us physically in the office. But in Luke's situation, this might be beneficial because they're not used to coming into the office. And so it doesn't even matter if the office is open. They are used to paying online or at the cash network locations. So they're not going to be surprised when the doors are closed, the lights are off, and all the cars are cardboard cutouts.
85% of our customers use Blytzpay when they're paying.
Yeah, perfect. So give them a call, get signed up for 2025.
We address the operating issue agreements every year, Jeff. That's the only way to figure this out. And it's something I didn't see. I didn't draw a line in the sand. That's on me. I waited probably a little too late when the contract was about to run out to really start pressing it. And I had no idea in September when he said that he wanted to pull some money out of the business, that meant that we were going to stop doing what we do. But that's what it meant. I was frustrated for a bit in October about this, Jeff. Super frustrated because this is all I've known. And
so let's ask Luke. So we talked about the operating agreement and what dealers can learn from that side of it with your father. Now let's talk about the lessons you've learned because buy here, pay here dealers specifically, there's two components, right? You've got the portfolio that you need to wind down, and you've got the dealership. And we'll talk about that later because any dealer is going to have that situation. What do you do with a dealership? Now buy here, pay here is inherently more of a rat's nest, let's say. It's more of a headache because there's so many moving parts. We always talk about there's kind of the three options, right? You can try to sell the portfolio, you can try to absentee owner or move it on to somebody else to run, like your son, if you want to be gone, which is a headache and creates all these problems. Or three, which I think was your choice, is, well, we got to collect this out. We got to wind this down and stop doing in-house financing. How's that been?
Okay. So I was buying cars like gangbusters up to then too, Jeff. So when this was done, it was about October 14th or 15th when this came about. I had about 100 buy here, pay here cars that need to be sold. And so I think we're down to about 15 now.
Okay, when you say down to 15 cars or 15 buy here, pay here cars?
15 buy here, pay here cars.
Okay. You've still got cars. You're still selling cars, right? Yeah. Outside finance, retail, cash. But as far as the stuff that you would put on a note, you've stopped purchasing those, whatever that tier is.
Yeah, we stopped purchasing those October 15th.
Yeah.
Those are done. We will buy here, pay here is one of those things. This is a rat's nest, as you just said. And so what we kind of think is going to happen is that we're going to have a few buy here, pay here cars here. And you go, well, why are you going to have to do that? Well, one of the reasons your portfolio performs as well as it does, because sometimes you have to trade people out of cars. And so what we'll do is we will not purchase any more buy here, pay here cars. We'll take repos that are in good condition, keep those for customers that are in our portfolio currently that are having car issues that pay us well. And so we're going to have to kind of migrate them.
But if you rewrite that customer into a new car, are you going to try to get them on a buy here, pay here car, but outside financed? You're not going to put them back in the portfolio and restart the clock on that loan, right?
Both can be true.
Okay.
And so what we can do is we can shorten the term to match the rest of the terms. And so
if you can make that work for them financially, right? I mean, you're putting them in another car, you're restarting the clock.
We may reduce the price of the car enough to make it match.
Mm,
because
interesting.
all we're doing is looking to pay out, and we're trying to land the plane at the same time. Um, and if I look at my run rate on my portfolio, historic run rate, we see that we should be finished collecting November of 2027. That's when the plane should land.
So you think
Um,
3 years from the date you started, it will take 3 years to get to zero, basically.
Basically. Now, are we going to have some stragglers? Yeah, probably. At that point, we will probably sell those off.
Well, the last 10 months, you're going to have peanuts too. So it's going to be a shell of an operation for the last 6 to 8 months when you've taken it down to just a handful of people that are all probably paying you like clockwork.
Yeah.
And everyone else, all the headaches and the troublemakers have already been weeded out because they're seasoned for 24 months. At that point, those guys are either paying to the end or you've already picked them up, repoed them or something, right? So
We'll see a lot fall off this year. And so in 2025, what we'll do is we're gonna land this plane at about 850 accounts. So we'll see the run rate, kind of lessen as we go. But we've been running about 24 accounts a month that run off. But we'll see that level out, I believe. And I've told my collectors, I'm going to give you a job for 2 years, and I think that will get us through. We still have CPI that's coming in. We still have a lot of payments coming in every month. So the first quarter is going to be a real key to this operation. And so I've told, and my dad actually hired me to collect the portfolio out.
fitting.
Yeah. So because I told him, I said, if we go this route, then I'm leaving and taking a new job on January 1. And he said, well, I think the best thing for both of us is to you stay on and collect it out. And I said, but I'm not going to do that for what I currently make. And so we negotiated that, and we've got it settled out. And, I get 49% of everything that comes in. He gets 51% of everything that comes in. And, it's a different thing, but I can get this set up. I've been in collections my whole life. I know what I'm doing. I know how to work everything, but I tell you, it's something that I don't know how to do. And really, there's no playbook out there to do it, of what I'm trying to do. Now, we can go down the rabbit hole of what I'm trying to do. And if it works, it'll be a case study on winding down a portfolio, a buy here, pay here.
I think some of the key factors that you have that are of benefit that a lot of these other portfolios that quote unquote wind down or get liquidated don't have is you've got to keep the location, right? Like you have to keep the name, the phone number. You can't, when you sell these off to a third party collector, everyone just scrambles, right? And they all know that mom and dad are gone and the babysitter is now taking care of things, and we're going to test and we're going to see what we can get away with, right? So if your customers don't listen to this podcast and they have no idea that anything's changed, they're not going to know that anything's changed, right? You've got to keep a full lot. You've got to keep similar hours. Yes, your staff's going to get cut back. Yeah, it might be a little bit weird when they want to buy a second car for their kid or their son, and you're just trying to push them over to the subprime financing bank, or, you just don't carry anything that would fit their needs anymore. But I think that's crucial. Like, I think you have to have the lights on.
I believe
It's going to be just scrambling.
And Jeff, I think your point is spot on. I believe that to do what we're trying to do, best case scenario is someone comes in and opens a buy here, pay here store on top of yours, and they allow you to collect it out. I think that's best case scenario.
Really? Or they collect it out for you, or
yeah.
you collect it out underneath them. I see that being
both.
I see that being even worse. I think switching to a retail subprime model is a way better idea.
Well,
don't originate any in-house loans. Just kick out that bottom tier of customer.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's the best way to go, in my opinion. But
so I'm done with buying and selling cars. I don't want anything to do with it. I will help. And so what we came up with is and I shouldn't say I'm done buying cars, because I'm still buying cars for the other dealers and whatever. But um, my my sales manager, who's very good sales manager, I think he has potential to own his own business and to be a car dealer. And so we're buying prime retail units only, and that's what we're going to try to do. We're getting set up with banks. I'm kind of at the end of my wits dealing with subprime customers. So I think we're trying to move into the prime space only. And so that's what we're doing. And we've already started buying cars for that. We've already reconned cars for that. And also our service department is very retail focused. And so over the last 60 days, my service manager, who's been my right-hand man for a long time, I'm putting him in business as a retail service provider. We've built a new website. We're advertising to get customer pay in more than we currently do. Now we were up to about 30% customer pay, but we're building that business. We have the space to do it. We have the operations to do it. We have all the tools to do it. So we're not reinventing the wheel. It's already its own separate company. It's got to be here for a year anyway to service our warranty stuff. So we're focusing on retail service. Now, again, I'm not doing that. I've had my share of it. I will be a consultant to his business. I will still own a portion of it for a bit, maybe forever. But I'm just, I'm kind of done except for collections. And I think I can, and I'm buying cars for the retail lot until I can get him up and going on how he should buy. And I still have customers that come to me every day and hey, Luke, can you buy this car for me? Yeah, no problem. I got it. So just, our goal is to probably sell 15 to 20 cars retail for 2025, just to keep the lights on, Jeff, just to keep cars out there. It looks like we're still in business because it's going to be crucial for us to do that, to collect these accounts out. And, after the first quarter, I'm going to move to a virtual type setup and get with my collectors every 3 days. And I'm going to go get a job, I think, Jeff.
You're gonna see Luke down at the Quickie Mart doing selling Slurpees or something.
I'm hoping you'll hire me, Jeff, and I can move to Utah and do this.
Yeah. We got some ideas out here. So a couple of things on that really interesting. I guess I could imagine showing up to Luke's lot and just having a bunch of shells of cars out there, but none of them actually have engines. Like maybe even just cardboard cutouts.
That might be the case, yeah.
Like those army guys do to like think that there's a presence at the car lot. And how do you keep employees from just scrambling? I mean, I think that would be a big thing. We see that a lot in dealers. Like when we talked to Nick Markosian last week, when sales start to wane or everyone jumps off the ship, right? Like they don't want to be the last one there. They think that it's sinking, so they all want to get out. I think that's going to be hard, even from a collector's standpoint, because they know they've got this sunset of a year or 2 years. If they have a job opportunity come up, they're going to be like, hey, sorry, Luke, I only got a year left with you and I got to take this one or I'm done. See you later. And now all of a sudden you can't rehire for that position. Like you're going to be doing
so as soon as we told the staff about October 30th or so what was going on, we immediately fired 2 people. Not fired, just told them they were gone. So I guess
furloughed.
So you need to find a new job. And then we sat down with our technicians. And if y'all ever had technicians, you'll kind of know how this goes. But technicians are always looking for another job.
They're boxes constantly. That's why it's got wheels on it.
That's right. So we sat down with them and said, hey, we're going to be letting go a couple of y'all. We just don't need it because our volume's not going to be. So if you are looking for a new job, we would recommend you taking it. and so we trimmed down our technicians pretty quickly.
They all ran for the door?
No. One did immediately, and and it was the one I didn't want to leave. He's already come back. But we 2 more leaving. So yeah. And they got us through the year. And I backed my comptroller. She's going to 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long that's gonna work. And then I didn't promise her 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with the sales manager, man, he's got a real opportunity to have his own dealership with us as silent partners, that are buying the cars, and paying for the cars,
Mm-hmm.
and packing it, and then splitting the net. And that's kind of what we're looking to do. Again, I do not want to be involved with Godwin Motors, and the headaches that is created throughout my life anymore. I've been doing this a long time. Anybody that's worked in a career for 25 plus years, I'm young. I'm 46 years old. I've got 15, 16 years. I can go off and do something new. And so I'm exploring all those options, and I do have options. And if anybody else out there wants to give me some more options, I'm more than happy to take.
I got some ideas for you. So it sounds like we're going to be, we're going to follow you through this adventure over the next, couple months or years. I assume the podcast will now be called The Independent Dealer Podcast with special guest Luke Godwin. Or I guess Luke's looking for a new job. I'm also looking for a new co-host. So if anyone would like to send me an email, info@theindependentdealer.com. We'll be taking auditions for owner operators, so that we can stay independent and impartial.
Who knows? I may work for a vendor for a little bit. I may do some
Don't do that. Don't be that guy.
I'll probably do some consulting. So any of you dealers out there that want to hook me up on a monthly basis, I am taking on some new dealers. I will have time.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe you could respond to all those emails we don't get to.
That's possible.
Book those guests that we don't get around to. Do that show prep that we don't do.
Yeah, and that's actually something I probably need to work on.
Maybe send out the newsletter that hasn't gone out in months. You can do that.
The newsletter starts this week. You and I have discussed that. Hopefully restarts this week. But I'm still going to be a hopefully valuable asset to dealers.
That's questionable.
That is questionable. And I'm here to help. I'm going to do some, and I've already started some real estate development. And as I've said before, car dealers end up being real estate developers because you make real money in real estate. And so I've already gotten 3 projects up and going, and we'll see how that goes.
Finding a way to lose all that hard-earned buy here, pay here money.
Well, as you said, our property here is so cheap it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. It's just like pocket change. And so it does sound like, obviously, Luke's, you're going to stay in the industry, stay very connected. I think you're still going to be at our 20 group meeting. I don't know how long you're going to be in the 20 group, but we'll probably still, unfortunately, see your face at conventions and things like that for the next foreseeable few months.
Yeah. I will moderate our 20 group this January. That will be my last 20 group as a member. And actually, I don't even know if I'll be a member at that point.
I don't know if you have been for months, so it's probably the same thing.
Hey, I'll put my numbers in. I'm going to put my numbers in again, but I will definitely see dealers out there. I'll be at conventions. I will be presenting at conventions, you and I both. And so I'm here to help. And if that means me flying into your dealership, because I will have time to do that, and sitting and consulting with you for a couple of days, I'll do that. It will cost you money, but I will do that. I will get on the plane. I will fly. I may even be, partnering with some dealers doing different stuff. So I was even the other day, a buddy of mine who's got real money said, "Hey, let's just go buy a new car store."
Yeah, there you go.
And
Get yourself a Nissan franchise.
No Nissan. I said the only way I'll do that is Toyota and Lexus, so or Subaru. And he's got the money to do it. I don't.
Subaru in Southern Utah. I've got the land.
I've already told you I want to do that. And so there's 46 is young, and I'm ready to do something different. I'm just tired of banging my head against the wall. And people say, well, why don't you just collect your dad out and do it that way? I'm tired. I was tired in COVID, and y'all probably heard it when I was doing the podcast, and then all of a sudden something switched, and I think it was CPI. CPI got me re-energized. Shout out to Buckeye and Jason. It got me re-energized, and I picked up the phone one day in 2023, and I called Jason. I said, "Hey man, I'm re-engaged. I'm going to figure this out. So,
Mhm.
and I was re-engaged, and I was very happy, and I wanted to buy the business. I wanted to be mine, all of it. Because I saw how much effort I was putting in, and I just couldn't, and I couldn't do it anymore being 50% owner. It wasn't going to work for me.
That's was my realization post-COVID, 2021, when I just said, hey, yeah, like I've got a partner here, but we're not equally yoked in this as far as our desire to grow. So we've got to split, and this has got to be 100% me. And again, back to our episode last week with Luke, or with Nick Marcosian, is dealers, we are entrepreneurial and we need something. So when it becomes the daily slog of collections and underwriting, and buying cars is what we all grab to because it's new and it's exciting, and that's where we kind of we gravitate towards the buying of cars, and then we gravitate towards buying stupid cars, and then we gravitate towards buying properties or boats or planes, or if we have a new endeavor in our business, like it's CPI, you can get excited about that again because it's like, hey, this new revenue stream, oh my goodness, it's so profitable, and it was right underneath my nose.
Yeah.
So those types of things like really get us excited and rejuvenate us in the business. And so I think all dealers that might feel that, kind of mundane, like look at those little niches in your business. What can you get excited about? You don't necessarily need to go out and buy a plane or a boat or do something silly that will distract you. Try to find the joy inside. That's kind of where I'm at with 2025, is saying, hey, instead of me starting to look left and right, can I just refocus inside of this and really appreciate the dealership for what it is? Because it's a little cash cow, man. These things just, they crank off cash, and it's okay to be a 30 car, 40 car a month guy, and it's comfortable.
Yeah. Dealers out there, do not get on this hamster wheel of debt. And we never were. And that's something my dad really instilled in us. And it gave us the opportunity at this point to collect our portfolio out, because we don't have to worry about covenants. We don't have to worry about, paying somebody back. We own it. And so we're able, if I don't want to do anything else the rest of my life but collect this portfolio out, I can probably do that. I'm not going to do that because it's just not my nature. But beware of debt. Because if you have debt, you can't all of a sudden walk away. You can, but you're not going to walk away with anything. And selling the 20 to 30 cars a month that Jeff's talking about might be the right answer. Use the debt to grow just a hair, pay the debt off. Use it to grow a little bit, pay it off. Because if you continually just stay on that hamster wheel, stay in growth mode, you'll never pay your debt off.
And if you're not, part of that is if you're not disciplined enough to pay your debt off, then you're not running an operation that's capable of paying the debt off. And that's the bad part, is people need the debt to keep the doors open the next day. They don't know it because they don't know their numbers well enough. But if you can't spin off that extra money to pay that debt down in cycles, I get you grew during tax time. You had to borrow, right? That makes sense. But by December, hopefully you've paid all those lines of credit off so you can reborrow against them again in January and grow again. And everything has gone up. Now, if you're not able to pay those off because you're using them all for operations, that is the debt cycle that you get stuck in.
Yeah, and it comes from not watching your collections properly, letting your inventory age too fast, and paying too much for money. Just pay attention. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm here to help if you need, but you gotta stay lean and mean.
Yeah. Well, Luke, this has been super depressing, exciting all at the same time. I don't know if we have an episode for next week.
I think we did.
Okay. So I don't know. It's going to be the Independent Dealer Podcast with guest Luke Godwin.
No.
Stay tuned. Look forward to us next week. And Happy New Year to everyone. Hope your 2025 is going to be a great one. I know mine is. Sounds like Luke's is as well.
Yep.
All right. See you guys next week.
Thank you for listening. Please leave us a review. We'll catch you in the next episode.